Good morning, everybody. If you could go ahead and find a seat, we do have some spaces at the tables up in front. We'll get started here momentarily. All right, good morning. We're going to start out with a prayer here, and then I'll have some introductory comments and kind of get things going. I want to make the most of the time we have available, so thank you for being here. But let's pray. God of grace, we thank you for the community that you've given us at Emmanuel. We thank you for the opportunities that you continue to set before us in each new day. We pray that you would pour out your Spirit upon us as we gather together today, that you would give us all wisdom and discernment, that we might seek to go in the way that you would have us go, and that as we go in that way, you would guide us and bless us. Lead us as your people, Lord, in your mercy and grace. Bless our conversation. Let your Spirit be at work among us, that all these things will work together for the building up of your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so just a couple of introductory notes. This is the first of 2 town hall sessions we're going to be having. So if you joined us online, good morning. The town hall sessions will be identical in the sense that we're going to be presenting the same things at both. They're just 2 different time slots for people who maybe can't be at one to be at the other. So don't feel like you have to go to both. I mean, if you want to, I guess you can, but that's up to you. So anyway, we're going to do as much as we can today to try to kind of speak to where we're at, ideas we have, and then I want the majority of the time to be listening. So nothing is written in stone, so there's clarity on that. This is an opportunity for discussion. It is a town hall forum. There's no voting or anything like that takes place today, but we want to hear from you guys. So that said, I'm going to stand. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, so I might sit down a lot. But anyway, we wanted to come and talk to you about where things are at with this possibility for a campus expansion. But why would that be even something that we would need? For times that even before I got here, as I was in the call process talking with folks, some of the things that I heard from people I spoke with was that Emmanuel has a history of stepping out into the future and doing so in a way to meet the needs of our congregation and our community. But there was a need for some designated space for our youth, our particularly high school youth. We do have a youth room. Has anybody been down into the youth room or maybe the youth basement over at Crown Point, which we don't use so much because it floods? Apparently that's something you don't want to have in a space, but that's what we have. So we've got that, but we need something that's maybe contiguous with the church. We need some space for our younger children's ministry as well. That we make do with space that we have. And some folks have asked about location for the church office. Why is it over? Well, why is it over here? It was because that's the space that we had in the middle of the school, kind of when we built everything out. We also have some needs coming at us on the school side of things. I asked Trisha Engel, who's our principal. Trisha, if you could come up and share with kind of some of the history where things have been and then where things are looking to be heading.
Good morning. So our school is blessed to have a rapidly increasing enrollment over the past couple of years. During the 2020-2021 school year, so that was Mrs. Schaefer's last school year serving as principal here, we ended the year with 248 students. My first year here, so the 2021-2022 school year, we ended with 270 students. In this academic year, so the 2022-2023 school year, we have over 300 students. We currently serve 306 students in pre-K through 8th grade. Last school year, we had an abundance of kindergarten students, so we added a second section of kindergarten. We also had an abundance of first and second grade students. So we had a classroom of first graders, a classroom of second graders, and a classroom of first and second graders learning together. We have kept the students who have come here in pre-K and kindergarten, and we're moving them along throughout the grade levels. This school year, we have had 2 full sections of kindergarten. They each have 20 students in, and our kindergarten classes filled in April last year. Talking with Mrs. Massaro, our school secretary, she's been here many, many years. That's the earliest that kindergarten has filled here at Emmanuel. We also have 2 sections of first grade, 2 sections of second grade, and 2 sections of third grade for this school year. That being said, we are out of rooms in the school. Most of you probably know that over the summer, the room that used to be the adult ed room was transformed into a classroom to make room for our double sections of first grade, second grade, and third grade. So next school year, our plan is that we're going to continue keeping the kids, and we'll have 2 sections of kindergarten again, 2 of first grade, 2 of second, 2 of third grade, and we'll add another section of fourth grade. Our third grade class has about 36 students in, so our plan is that as they continue on to fourth grade, we need more room for them in fourth grade. And as they continue, then fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade. Is that it? Am I missing anything that we've talked about?
What we're doing with the
next year?
Yeah.
Okay. So next academic year, in order to make room for that extra section of fourth grade, our plan is to use the science lab as a homeroom class. If any of you have seen the science lab, it's a great space for science classes. It's just a little bit tight because of all of the science equipment that we have in that room. But next academic year, for the 23-24 school year, we'd put one of our middle school classes in the science lab. That would be a homeroom. Kids would still be moving classes throughout the day, so everybody would get to go to the science lab still for science instruction. And that would give us 1 extra classroom for those 2 fourth grades that we'd have next year. After that, after the 23-24 school year, we don't have any more room. So the 24-25 school year, we can't continue having the 2 sections of each grade. Now, we have sent out a survey to our families of kindergarten, first, second, and third graders. Those are the classes right now are with an abundance of students, to just see what their plan is. Is their plan to stay here all the way through 8th grade? That's our hope. Or are they not planning to? So that will help us make some decisions as well. We just sent that out last week, so we don't have any specific data to share with you today. But at the congregational meeting in November, we will have that data to share with you. We know historically there has been a drop-off of students between 5th and 6th grade or 6th and 7th grade at the middle school age. We are really trying to keep the kids here all the way through 8th grade. We've started a lot of initiatives this school year. We've added more extracurriculars and clubs for the students to participate in. We've added a lot of faith-based engaging activities. Both of the pastors are highly involved in the school. And we're looking at expanding our athletics program as well, in hopes that we keep the children here all the way through 8th grade. Not just so they get an excellent education, but that they hear the word of God every day when they're here.
Thank you. So with that, if you all were tracking, come August 2024, we will not have any space for a new grade. We will be out of space. We will be fully utilizing pretty much every square foot of classroom space that we have here on our campus. So that, combined with some of these other needs that we have, all come together to really put before us this opportunity to expand our campus. Now, we've explored a number of options. So we've had so Tricia, who just spoke, Jill Wendell, who's the chair of our school advisory council, is here. Frank Bisconti is our director of operations. You guys can raise your hands or something like that. Some of these folks over here, members of our vestry, we've discussed a lot of different possibilities, and we thought about, well, what about the mods? If we have the modular classrooms that are out back. Has anybody been inside one of the mods in the past couple of years? God bless you. Because they are not fit for human occupation. They are storage, and they are only storage for a little while till they start leaking. But that's what they are right now. So we can't really use those. So we thought about, well, what if we replace those with newer mods? What if we lease something? What if we do some other thing with the Flora Meadows property that we have and some like temporary classroom space? And we consider those options. And so there's some pros and cons, cost and timing. Some of the pros, cons are that it's a horrible security setup for a school to have some of your students over there. And apparently we have winter in this area too, and that's not the best thing for kids moving back and forth between classes. So we looked at those, and ultimately, in speaking with members of our congregation that have been involved in previous building programs here, so it's been about 25 years since our last big thing, which was the newer classrooms, the large gyms over there, the 1999 expansion over that way. There were at that, and when the sanctuary was all built, the people back then were forward-looking enough to incorporate in the design back then the possibility for expanding out from those wings, which was great to hear. I hadn't really realized that till I sat down. Roland Crandall, it was Roland's, there you go, is an architect and had been involved with that 25 years ago, and that was kind of neat, and it actually helped us pivot for some of the thinking that we'd been doing. So what I'd like to do now at this time, we have some printouts, so if our helpers could come up and get those out, so we can have at least one at every table. This is a satellite map from, so you can see most of our campus, not all of our campus, but I'll wait till everybody gets a copy here, and you can kind of share that at your table with what we're thinking about doing as a concept. Again, this is a concept. None of this is written in stone. I've already heard some thoughts from some folks on some other ideas. But what we're thinking, in order to meet the various needs that are out there, does any table not have a copy yet? Okay. So you can see in no particular order, down by the sanctuary entrance on the south side, over by what we call door 1 in the canopy, we'd be looking to do an expansion, and actually probably be a little bit bigger than what's depicted there on the map. But we could do a 2-story exposed basement expansion out there by door 1, which would be the new home for the church offices, conference room space on the top floor, and then underneath that would be dedicated space for our youth ministry, for senior high youth, and also for our early childhood, and maybe a classroom if we can fit all that in there too. So that way we could have the church office down by door 1. When people come to visit the church, they can do that. They don't have to go through the school, because right now, many of you, if you come to visit us in the church office or stop by, you have to go through security at the front desk, and which makes sense. But that way we can keep kind of all that down at this side of the building for conference rooms and adult ed classes and everything there too. So that's the thought down there by door 1. The next thing, if you take a look on the east side, so kind of northeast side off of our 1999 expansion, we would go with what they had initially thought about way back 25 years ago and expand out there to put on a new wing of classes. So in the diagram you have there is 4 classes, 4 classrooms, which would, if we did that would allow us to have two sections of each class all the way through 8th grade. Now, we'd still have to have a class in the science lab, and we wouldn't have some other extra space that we might like to have for the school. But so that would be over there. And there's some possibilities too. We could adjust that and maybe have that 6 classrooms or something, but that's that. Now, the other component, if you look south of, if you see where the small gym is currently, we'd look to go where the, excuse me, where the modular classrooms are now. We'd take those down and expand out from the small gym and have that expansion there. So we'd still have the small gym, because right now the small gym isn't really used as a small gym. It's used as the cafeteria. for much of the day, and aftercare, but before and aftercare. So we would build out a multi-purpose / cafeteria space, also with the possibility of moving the kitchen from where it's at now down over to that, have a restroom added in there as well, and have storage, because we know we need storage. And the mods are serving well in that regard. So we would have storage space incorporated in there as well. So those are kind of the three pieces we would like to do. In ideally, we would like to do it all together. But let's see. Okay. So what about the cost? What's the price tag? Short version is we don't know exactly, but we have a good guess. And if we were to do, I'm going to sit back down. If we were to do all three of these pieces together, with where things are at with building costs and with the timetable of we need to get, if you think about it this way, we need to have classrooms up and running by August 2024. That means construction needs to finish like in spring 2024, or maybe early summer, because then we have to go in and furnish the classrooms and get smart boards and all that other stuff done. If we wanted to do all three of these things together, it could be $6 million or $6.5 million, which is a lot of money. I'm pretty sure I came from DC. I still think it's a lot of money. So that's one option there. Now, if we did that, and one thing I neglected to mention before is that when we move the church office and conference room down over to by door one, the way that the current church office and where the conference room is now, as that was designed, those are not structural walls. So those walls can be cleared out, and those would be 2 new classrooms, which means we'd be able to move one of our classes out of the science lab, have the science lab as a dedicated science lab, and then have an additional classroom that could be used for additional special ed space, for example, because we do kind of have a need for that as well. So that's kind of the rough plan there. Now there's other options too. We could, if we wanted to kind of scale things back, we could say, well, what if we just built 6 classrooms out that wing of the 1999 expansion by the small gym? We could do that for a lower cost, and that would give us all the classroom space we would need, but it wouldn't do the other things that we're looking to. One of the reasons we would need to have the multi-purpose room expansion out there is because we have with a lot of the kids coming in, we can't book the large gym for all the classes during the day, and especially as you get to winter and recess, that becomes tough because you need to have room, especially for the little kids, to be running around and playing and doing some stuff. So there's a pressing need for this multi-purpose space as well. To the degree that we finish it out, well, maybe we just do that. We don't move the kitchen, and we kind of don't have fancy entrances. That's possible. There are ways to kind of draw some things down there too. But that's a lot of money, however you slice it. So we thought about, well, how do we pay for this? If this is something that is something that we need to do, there are options. We've been talking with LCEF, Lutheran Church Extension Fund, if we want to do some various possibilities for another loan. A good point, before I forget about it, is in case anybody's concerned about what we're paying for the mortgage we took out for North, for Timber Lane, we're only paying $52. That's $52 more for our mortgage on the $350,000 property than we were paying for rent for the past 10 years. $52 more. So there's that. So not super concerned on that front compared to where we've been, but looking ahead, we could have possibilities of doing a capital campaign. I think we would need to do some kind of capital campaign if we're undertaking something of this magnitude. We could do, we had some creative ideas on how to finance that. We could do 2 capital campaigns simultaneous. One, we could have one that went to pay just interest only for the new loan over a period of time. Anything that came in above and beyond that would go to principal. And then we'd have a separate parallel capital campaign for paying the principal down over the longer period of time. So it makes it much more manageable because it's a big thing to try to bite off. So those are possibilities. We don't have anything locked in yet because, again, this is all concept. We want to hear from you guys. And so now I want to take the rest of the time that we have to open up the floor to questions and thoughts that you guys have on this front. We are One second. We are going to have a second one of these sessions on Thursday, November the 10th at 6:30 p.m. So that one we're doing so that, our school families can come and be here and be part of this as well, or folks from North or others that can't be here this morning. So that's kind of where we're at. This is the concept stuff. So we want to hear from you guys. So yeah, let's go ahead, Carl.
Are there any code or other issues about reclaiming the space underneath the small gym?
Code or space issues about space under the small gym? I do not know. From my understanding, and if anybody knows better, please correct me here. I think there's some tunnels underneath the small gym for ventilation, but I don't think there's actual livable space underneath the small gym directly. We do have space that we use primarily for storage right now. That's kind of underneath the main hallway and underneath the offices over there on the north side. There are some, but they wouldn't necessarily. Well, there's an issue with if we tried to make it classroom space from an accessibility standpoint, we'd have to put in an elevator or something and some of those things. So it's not so much workable in that regard. But there is space down there, and if anybody wants a tour on that, find somebody else to take it because that place is scary. Jeff. Yes, and Jeff, you guys, I tell you, I do not plant these people in the audience beforehand, right, Jeff? I did not coerce you into saying that or anything like that. We do have, as a matter of fact, we have a CER, an expense that has been approved because we've received a memorial gift. This is part of the Phyllis Galliano gift to the congregation to complete the atrium to make it usable space. So we are moving forward with that. Hopefully that will be done next month so that we'll be able to have it as space where you can actually, because I don't know if anybody realized this, but to get into the atrium right now, you have to climb through a window, which is fun, not super practical. So that window is going to come out. We're getting a pressed concrete flooring put in to level it out, have it look really nice, and a custom metal staircase in there. And we checked with the fire department from code. We don't need an egress ladder. They said it's okay with the number of people we're expecting there. So we want that to be some usable space for kind of a touchdown space or small group discussions and things like that. But that is in the works. That is a fantastic question. Also not a plant. So we are not looking to do anything from a tuition standpoint to finance the expansion because we do not want to price ourselves out of the market of serving our community. That is something that has been part of our conversations, and we want to make sure that's clearly communicated to our families as well. There will be, obviously tuition increases as cost of living goes up and kind of other things that we're looking to do on the school side, but we're not financing expansion on the backs of our school families.
I'm curious about academic trends, the trends of, I guess in the last 20 years since this expansion, what the trends have been like for classroom space. I know that we are planning on having a surplus for the next couple of years, but it's also, all over the news that we're about to hit a major recession. So with that,
yeah, I wouldn't say we're looking at a surplus. That's going to come up at the congregational meeting too. But regarding the question about where things are at, we've checked with District 100, and they've done demographic studies as well. That we are supposed to be even or with a slight increase in terms of the number of kids coming through. So there's that. Now, as far as if we want to, if our families are wanting to have their kids go all the way through 8th grade, like we're hoping. We want to hear from our families on that. So we do have that survey out just to kind of have an idea where people are at, or if they'd be looking to switch over to public later on. If we did have a drop in enrollment in any of the classes where we didn't need a second classroom, we have thoughts about what we could use those classrooms for as art space or maker space, or because even with 6 new classrooms, those will be fully utilized, like for classrooms and special ed. So it's, if we do have some buffer there, that we have plans for it. But that's from a demographic standpoint, that's what we're looking at. Oh yeah, also not a plant. So in case you were wondering, that big diagram there on the south of the parking lot that is the possibility. Roland put that in for us as if we were to build a standalone early childhood center. If we were to do that, we could put that there. Maybe not like right there, but somewhere there. So it would be serving our pre-K through potentially kindergarten, depending on how many classes we have. Maybe we could do pre-K. Maybe we could do full day pre-K. I understand there's a need for full day pre-K. Maybe somebody had even suggested, what if we did infant care? I'm like, well, that's a whole nother thing. And we need to get a director in for doing these things and staff. That's a possibility. But we put it out there as something. If you guys wanted to think about that, that's, I think, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think we thought that was maybe like $4 to $5 million or so. It always costs more. Correct me if I'm wrong, Roland, to do a freestanding building than it does than expansion. Usually, that's fair. So if we were to do that and we wanted to have that, it would be kind of right across the street from Meehan Elementary. There's some possibilities of visibility. It's a good thing, but there's a lot that would go along with that too. And then that would allow us to move. If we were to do that, we could move some of the classes, the classes that are in that age range, down to the free building, and then move some of our early elementary over there. So that's another possibility. I think we had. Do we have Jan? Did you have? Yeah. Oh, just 3 questions. Okay. Let me get another lozenge.
If there was any consideration given to bumping out the west end at the end of the hall and putting 2 classrooms there. I'm hearing of extremely urgent need, and when we're talking $6 million, I'm thinking that's something we should not speedily jump into. That would give you 2 classrooms right away, and I wouldn't think that it would be extremely expensive. The other option that I was thinking is, was there any consideration given to the area between the gymnasium and the existing offices, where you would come in from the parking lot into the gymnasium? You would have a nice space there for entrance. You'd have your trophy cases along the side of the wall, and then you would have one space that would be even with behind the elevator going off the hallway there. And the other thing that I was thinking is, I don't know how much the faculty room is being used. When I was here, we used it for opening devotions every morning and faculty meetings, and that was the only time I was ever in there. And I'm just thinking, probably not even big enough now with the staff that we have.
It's definitely not big enough. Yeah.
Okay. You've got 3 walls there. You can just build one wall and put a roof on it. You can make it aesthetically look just like it's an attic classroom. There you would have an instant classroom if that's, I'd like to know if there were those things were ever considered.
Yeah. So in no particular order, the faculty room is used throughout the day as kind of a touchdown space for our teachers. It is not big enough to hold all of our faculty. They do meet in the conference room, I think, or the fellowship hall when we get everybody together. We have actually the first Wednesdays of the month. So in the Wednesday ahead, we have a 7 a.m. church and faculty meeting every month to bring everybody together. So the faculty room is used. As far as the layout and where things are at with the parking lot, it might make it a little tough to kind of bump out from there to add into that. We had not talked about doing an add-on construction-wise from the west end of the building over by, I think that's door 13. Is that right? So over by door 13, we did consider the possibility of, if we wanted to do a what I'm calling the quad mod, 4 modular classrooms that'd be one building over on the Flora Meadows property over there. But that's still, it's semi self-contained, but would still require going back and forth between the main building. Anytime we're breaking ground, it's going to factor up the cost. We do have, one of the nice things about having the mods where we have them now is that there is plumbing already and utilities, so we can make use of that for any new construction for the multi-purpose area. With the timetable, admittedly an aggressive timetable that we'd have before us to try to have everything up and running by August 2024, it would be possible for us to do the expansion out on the east side off of the large gym area that you see there, and have that up and running, because we could frame it in and then finish out construction over the winter. So we could get that in. And so if we wanted to get the total number of classes we need at the lowest cost over the course of the project, that would be from what we've seen, would probably be the best way to go. Because we're trying to do as much as we can to avoid piecemealing it, if that makes sense. And like a little bit here, a little bit there, because that's more expensive in the long run. Yeah. I think, did we have another one over here first? We're good. Okay. We're good there. Okay.
I was wondering, are you any plans on replacing some of the people that have retired?
Yeah, we actually talked about that last weekend at the staffing Q&A forum. So I'll try to keep it focused there. But we do have some plans for the, and I can tell you more about that. And actually, that video is good. Not a plant as well. That video is recorded. So if you want to go back and watch that, it's on the same channel here for our classes.
Could we have the question repeated?
Yes. The question was, could we have the question repeated? Can do. Yeah, I will seek to do better. But the question there was, do we have any plans for replacing people that retired? And we had last weekend a Q&A forum on staffing that talked about that. Yep.
Good thing, we had a plan. I think I would move the offices north a little bit so that the entry would still have some natural light coming from the east side, and because we don't really need big windows all down. And the classrooms off the gym, I would double them because, two doesn't sound like it's very much, but we put them in the table.
Well, off the gym is 4 right now, and we could expand that out to 6 or even 8, depending how we did it.
Or at least make it super easy to expand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'd look to expand off the gym. Yep. That'd be a 2-story. That'd be 2-story. The question is, off the expansion off the east end, how many stories would that? That'd be 2 stories like we have right now. So we'd have either 2 up, 2 down, or 3 up, 3 down classrooms to kind of fill out that wing of the building there. Yeah. Pastor Richard, do you have a question?
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway, just to make sure it's correct.
He's also not a plant.
Some people have talked to me about, well, shouldn't we expand more in early childhood, since there's so many people that want kindergarten, preschool, instead of thinking about adding on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but adding extra classrooms, let's say in 3 or 4 or 5 years, that plays out to be the trend that we actually need more space in the lower grades. That's okay, because we'll have the space, we can in a sense build. If the trend was, okay, we don't have enough for double grades in the upper grades, but we have tons of little schools, little ones, well, now we have the facility to do that. It kind of gives us the option to grow in either direction.
So the question is, if the demographics shifted, and correct me if I'm not hearing it right, if we didn't have enough kids coming through and staying in the upper school, 6, 7, 8, then we could still shift our classes over to those new rooms and then have the spaces that they vacated for more little kids spaces. And I suppose, yeah, that's not something I thought about, but Alan, yep.
This is something I was thinking about. Sometimes it's hard to be a Christian, and just live in the community. So I was thinking, instead of that thing, the childcare thing, on the parking lot, move that over to your 528 rectangle, on the southeast side, kind of along the road, and have not only childcare in there, but have like a coffee shop, connected to a laundromat.
We're not looking to set up a Christian ghetto, but, and I say that in the clinical sense, but no, visibility is, yeah.
Christ spoken here. So it's obvious that this is a safe place to come, talk about Jesus, to be safe from the world, and get, those things that you need done, especially when you're like a single mother with kids. You put them in the daycare, you can get your laundry done, and just relax.
There's a thought on that. I won't repeat all that because that was kind of all a number of different things, but we gotta keep going here. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I have 2 things. One, the nursery space
Mhm.
here seems to be very underutilized.
We actually are using that now every day for our pre-K. So pre-K, it was before and after care. So they are now, as of this year, making use of that throughout the week. The nursery. What we have right now is which in previous years had just been vacant during the week. We are utilizing that. But you had a second?
Well, I guess that would be, so I guess one thought would be if you're saying like all day pre-K, that could be a class.
It,
But it was a classroom when I went to school here.
oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Both of those were classrooms.
I think from there is a little bit of a balance in that particular space, and what we have is the nursery over here, because there is a need for it to still be dedicated as a nursery space on the weekends for the congregation, and so we've tried to make sure that was workable.
Yeah, they used to like lock the cat, like what was school stuff.
Yeah.
they locked, and then other
Okay, so the possibility of your classroom space with that.
And then I guess my concern about growth is protecting the spiritual growth that's happening. 'Cause this is like the largest number of people I've seen. And when we have traditional Bible studies, whereas everybody.
Yeah, also not a plant, but yes, we have class here at 10:15 every Sunday. Come join us. It's good stuff.
And like with the kids too from school, like you don't see the school kids coming to church. And
Right.
so,
Mm-hmm.
keep the school being the Christian
Yeah.
school rather than just another.
Yeah, and we've actually been doing a lot on that front, and Chris, Trisha mentioned a little bit, but Pastor Richard has been.
Can you explain?
Yeah,
You mentioned it, but like.
yeah. So we have a discipleship plan that Pastor Richard was working with the faculty with over the summer, getting a lot of things together so that we are doing a lot more in the classrooms and working to do spiritual development with the kids that are here, and with the open invitation for them to come and be a part of the congregation here. A number of our families are in other churches, but many are unchurched. So it's an opportunity on that front. And I just, from a time perspective, I want to make sure we can get a few more questions here too with the expansion. But if you want to talk to Pastor Richard, he can tell you much more about the discipleship plan as well. But it's a good question. We had a couple hands back there. Yep.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to, first of all, share, from our Monday Night Life class, we have Kathy Delmar. And over in Belize, there's a lot of the occult and voodoo things, and she was talking to the Lutheran pastor there. And the Lutheran pastor said that is the older generation, but we are getting the kids in school. And that's where they're gonna make the impact in Belize, is having the kids in school. So looking at that, maybe God can make an impact on kids also here, and hopefully spiritually, like we're talking about.
So working on the connection with Belize and the spiritual development that's happening there with the kids there.
To see what's happening here.
There's some parallels.
The
Mhm.
second thing is that being a member of the Puritan Virginia Bible Study, often when congregations are faced with a big decision like this, I think it's important to have congregational prayer as a part of it. I don't know if we could designate 30 days, or we could have prayer prompts. You know, in James it says, ask God what he wants you to do and he will give you the wisdom. But I think that time spent in prayer would be good over these decisions.
Yeah.
as well.
Praying about this, yeah, for sure. And that's like we said at the opening of this meeting, and I was talking with somebody else earlier too. We're not looking to set a plan and ask God to bless it. We're asking for discernment and wisdom and going in the right direction, for sure. But yeah, please be praying about this, and we can send out more as the congregation there too. And I think we had, yeah,
I absolutely applaud getting rid of the mods 30 years ago. But I do want to ask a question in regards to the bus barn.
Yeah.
And is there any thought about moving that? It used to be out of that location in the
Mhm.
long-term plan.
we had not considered moving the bus barn. We were trying to focus on not spending more than we needed to with that. But you said it was planned to be moved elsewhere, or
It was planned to, when this church plan was
Yeah,
together,
mhm.
the bus barn was to be moved out of that area.
gotcha.
Looking out the window.
Yeah, that bus barn right there it didn't get moved. Yeah. And then time for maybe a couple more questions. I want to make sure because we got this later service. Oh man, everybody's asking questions now. Okay, real quick, lightning round.
I'm wondering what the trend of giving is versus church expenditure now, and
The
also
ch-
staffing,
Uh-huh.
new additions and everything.
Yes, real quick answers. Trending is not good. We're going to be talking about that in the weeks ahead. And we have some thoughts about that. Second question regarding staffing, Q&A forum video from last weekend talks about kind of where we're at for that. Oh yeah, we need to get more staff for every new class we add, for sure. Not inexpensive. It'd be factored in with tuition, because if you have more students coming in, you're more tuition that helps to offset, not completely cover. So there's that. Yep. It is not inexpensive. It scales too, depending on number of kids you have. 3,500 for the first child.
All grades?
The elementary grades. It's cheaper for the half-day programs in pre-K. Yeah.
I know on that, we've done many studies over the years. Emmanuel is always in the bottom third.
So that in terms of where we're at, we are very low in terms of what's charged. Real quick.
When my sister first started going here, tuition was free for
Yeah.
members.
Mm-hmm.
So sticking to that idea of like, how are we helping our own who are spiritually rooted here?
Mm-hmm. And that's the question is, well, back in the past, we used to have free tuition for members. And there's a lot that goes into that conversation too. And I don't have time to properly answer it in a minute, so I don't want to disrespect it by that. But we can talk more about that too. But we have some thinking on that point too. Yeah, real quick.
Up until, I know because of COVID and people being at the worship, yeah.
Telepresence, yeah.
So we got rid of the, member, non-member tuition rate.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a way to get people to become members and bring them.
Yeah, and we did think about that, and kind of the short answer is, if we do tuition discounts for members and have people become members, historically, that's the wrong reason. We don't want people to become members to get a tuition discount. And once people graduate, they disappear, historically. So it has not been a helpful tool in that way. There's something real quick, maybe two more questions and we got to wrap up. Yes, you will. You'll be getting all kinds of neat data that we've put together in the church office that I am very much looking forward to sharing with you. So we do have some good reports that I think we're going to take some long looking at. Okay, one more question. I don't know if you guys. Well, okay, two. All right, quick, Dave, then Linda. Yeah.
We came here when we were at Booth, and it was great when all of a sudden we expanded and we said, hey, we can't fit in more people in the church, we need to do something. And I'm really glad that we did what we did here. And look at where we're at here. God blessed us, we trust me, and do the right thing at the right time. We didn't do half of this. We did the plan here. Obviously we're using, and now we're expanding too, which is great. So I just think from the comparison of that, as we grow and God blessed us, we're doing the same in school right now too. And one of the things we saw was as the trend though went where some came, we had bubbles, and then also, they didn't go from seventh to eighth grade. There are some social changes that are happening today in our public schools nationally. Unfortunately, it's not a trend, or I should say it's not bad, it's a trend. It's something that's gonna last for a while. And so when people are looking at sending kids here that are in public schools, it's hopefully because they want their kids to know the Lord. But a lot of times it's because they want to know that we are solid biblically and different than some of what they're teaching in public schools. That's now a trend, and that's gonna continue on. So I'm seeing that we have the opportunity for those numbers and the bubble that's coming through the classrooms.
And if you guys didn't hear Dave, he was talking about where we had been when we built out the expansions here and kind of doing that in faith. And then looking ahead, we do have drivers in the world around us that is leading people to want to, oh, there goes the bus. Bye, bus. For people coming here for that reason. All right. So Linda, last question.
Yeah, you talked about a capital campaign.
Yeah.
Are there any endowment monies that could be used for this, number one?
So I will repeat the question. Yes.
Lump sum, can we phase it?
Yes. So question is, are there endowment monies that would be able to be used for this? Short answer is no. And we'll be talking more about that too. There are a lot of endowment monies, but they're all for designated purposes and can't be touched. And you'll hear me make this example probably a number of times here, but it's kind of like if you've seen the Top Gun movie, the old one or the new one, doesn't matter. When they're out doing their exercises out in the desert and training, they have what's called a hard deck, right? Which is kind of this threshold above the actual ground. When they're doing training exercise, you can't go beneath the hard deck for the purposes of training, right? Is that actually the ground? No, but for the purposes of exercise, you crash if you go beneath the hard deck. For the church, we have a hard deck. We have a lot of money in the sense there are funds in the endowments. We can't touch those. Those are not for purposes that we just can spend it for whatever we want. We have a hard deck, and we're pretty close to the hard deck, maybe even a little bit under. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's on the endowment side. Second part of the question, with phasing out with you could do different things with doing, like, let's say we wanted to focus on expanding out for the classrooms over there, not moving the church office or youth space or things like that. We could do that. It does end up being more money in the long run, but even if we did whatever we're gonna do for our project, we could phase out with the different vehicles that LCEF might offer in terms of how payments could be structured and things like that as well to make it a little bit more even over time. So we're investigating possibilities on that. Okay, all right. So I do have to get to the 11 o'clock service, which started 3 minutes ago, but thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here. If you do have other questions or folks online, please email us. If you want to talk more about some of the different things, let us know. I'd be glad to do so. And then next week in here, celebration of serving for Lutheran Church Charities Comfort Dogs.